Hi, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of Farm Bells Homesteading Podcast. And this is my beautiful co host, Molly.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, this podcast has been a long time in the making. We've been talking about it for months and months. We had a trial run, and my internet out here was awful at the time, but it worked out because now I have new internet and we're fingers crossed that it's going to work this
Yes,
time.
we are ready. We are in it. And I am so excited and I'm so happy to be here. It's so good to see you.
I know.
And I'm ready to talk all things farm and kids and homestead and life and all the things.
Yes, exactly. And that's kind of what my idea had been. If you're at all familiar with me, I am April from With My Hands Homestead. My husband and I had a podcast that we did for, I think, 2 years. I started it and then he hopped on, and I think it was about 2 years. And so that chapter is closing. We just didn't stay on top of it, and he's working a little bit more. And I have been friends with Molly since college. We met as sorority sisters.
Yes.
And then our lives kind of came together because we both started homesteading. And when I heard Molly had a farm, I reached out to her. We hadn't talked in a while,
And
probably.
years. Yeah. I mean, it's such a small world. And it's so crazy how the littlest thing, I'm so thankful to have you in our life, and it wouldn't have happened if I didn't find your secret homestead account.
I know. At the time, I was keeping everything as secret. I mean, not as,
Well,
yes,
it was just like a
kind of.
personal
Yeah.
Instagram that you were just keeping tabs of. And when I was trying to find people, I found you and then we just connected.
Yeah, exactly. And gosh, I don't even know how many years ago, probably because our first two, we only had one kid each, right? Yeah.
When we went to the beach, I think Brooks was a baby. Brooks was
But
like little baby. Oh, when
when
we first connected.
first
Yes.
homestead, yeah.
Yes. We both have just one baby.
Oh my gosh. And now you have
Many babies ago.
three. Yes, I know. Between the two of us, so many babies.
So many kids.
But yeah, so I think that my idea for this podcast, I love listening to podcasts just of stories and updates and
Hmm.
just little tidbits of information from especially women homesteaders, because I
Yeah,
am a
I agree.
woman.
Relatable things that I
Yes.
feel and that, are relevant to my life, and even that aren't relevant to my life. I like to
Mhm.
learn new things and hear other people's what they're doing with their homesteads and kids and farms and work and everything.
Exactly. And get inspired and
Yeah,
commiserate on the fails and the hard things, because
exactly.
a lot
The
fails.
good and the bad.
Yes, exactly. So, what we had done on the last podcast that we had tried, I would love to do again. Our
Yes.
theme had kind of been, how did you get from the dream of homesteading to the reality to where you are now?
Okay, so I'll go first. I'll tell you there's kind of two different things. They were separate and they kind of just came together. So Jacob and I, we were dating. We kind of moved all over with his job. We were from North Carolina. Jacob's my husband for all the listeners. I'm sorry. Jacob and Molly from the Feltz farm. We lived kind of all over. We lived in New Orleans and Arizona, and we kind of had that away feeling. We were away from our friends, away from our family. We were just out there on our own. And then we moved home right before we got married because we knew that we would start a family soon after. And right when we had our first son, we were kind of just craving that aloneness almost,
Mhm.
not to get away from our friends and family, but just being away was kind of cool. It was kind of nice to just be on our own. And so then we started watching homesteading videos and off-grid stuff and homestead rescue, that kind of thing. And we were like, oh, that's really cool. I kind of want some chickens. And it brought back the little girl in me that wanted to be a vet and wanted a farm and wanted all these things that I've wanted since I was little, but I never talked about with boyfriends or my husband. That wasn't a let's get married and have a farm.
Right.
We just kind of lived our life. And so we started getting into it, and we're like, well, chickens, let's do it. Let's get some chickens. And then we lived in a regular neighborhood with an HOA and we couldn't do that. So then we started looking at farms, and we went to go look at different farms and go see them. And the farm that we live at currently was actually the first one that we ever looked at. but I guess I'm going kind of backwards. I was pregnant with our first baby when we looked here, but um, I was so pregnant and the farm needed so much work that I was like, hard no, like this is not going to work. So we kept looking and looking. And then when our first son was born, he had a lot of food allergies, and that kind of sparked me looking into food because I'd never have read ingredient labels or like looked into anything of that sort. And then the two kind of just went together and it made the want more of a need, I guess.
Mhm.
And so it kind of all just fell into place. And I felt like it was just like all in perfect timing. And we saw like 50 other farms through the span of 6 months. And we kept trying and looking. And we kept coming back to this one because it had the house, a decent sized house. It had 4 bedrooms. We used one as a playroom. So like big house, but just needed some work. Nobody had lived here for 10 years. It has the pond, the creek, the 2 big chicken barns, like 25 acres. It has all the things. And since it had been in the market for a long time, we got it for a steal. And so we kept coming back and we were like, this is it. Like I feel like this is it. And so we did it. We did it when our first son, Ford, he was 6 months old. And we moved to the farm and everybody thought we were crazy. And they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Moving an hour away from the city? Like Jacob has to work in the city. Like he's going to have to drive to and from work. You know nothing about farming. What are you guys doing? And we had this feeling. We were like, we just need to move out. We need to raise our own food. We need to provide for our son that can't hardly eat anything. Like, and the world is kind of going to shit, like let's move out. And we did. And I remember the first night we sat on the back porch. And I told you this last time too, I feel like, and we sat there and we were just like looking out to the overgrown chaos of the land. And then the way the sun set, it just was like a kiss from God, that it was just like something just felt right. And I was like, okay, this is home. We made the right decision. We're on the right path. And here we are like 5 years later. And I can confidently say that we made the absolute right decision. And now we're like, let's buy 300 acres in
Yeah.
Arkansas. But
That's
that was
so
kind of just
amazing.
like, I know that's kind of sporadic. I'm
Yeah.
ADHD, like, bear with me. My mind's all over the place. But between Ford's food allergies, my longing to do this since I was a kid, and watching homesteading videos, kind of
Mhm.
all just came together, and we found the perfect spot to start our learning process of all of this.
So you started with chickens, and then what was the next step?
So Jacob, I asked for 6 chickens of like a variety of chickens.
Mhm.
He came home with 14 Rhode Island Reds and 4 rabbits
Yeah, I remember that.
and no chicken coop and
Mhm.
nowhere to put the rabbits. But we work best under pressure. We have
Mhm.
learned like we like to do things opposite, and now we do that on purpose because both of the way we just work better if we have to get it done.
Yeah.
So I'm looking back, I used to get so frustrated with him, but now I'm like, bring home the donkey, like we'll
Right, we'll
figure it
figure it
out.
out.
We'll figure it out. But yes, we started with chickens and rabbits, and then we had goats for a little while, and I like absolutely despised goats. We've tried several times. They're just not for me. They're high maintenance, they're crazy, they broke our fences, all the things,
Mhm.
like not for me. Did not serve us a purpose really. Then we started getting meat chickens and beef cows and it's sheep, of course, the sheep.
Mhm.
And then now we have a dairy cow, Marley, and she has a baby, and we have 7 dogs total and a couple cats and chickens, ducks, guineas, turkeys, sheep. No beef cows right now because we just processed all of everything. So most of the stuff is in the freezer, but we will be getting more, of course, because we have 3 growing boys that need to eat.
Mhm. Oh my
So
goodness.
the garden, of course, the
Of
garden,
course.
my love. I have a beautiful garden that we've worked really hard on, and I've learned to can and preserve food, and now I'm making bread. I'm looking into cheese. Like I'm trying to think outside the box now and
Yeah.
do the harder stuff.
Yeah, you're upping a level.
I'm trying to go up now that it's kind of slowed down in the winter. I mean, it's still
Mhm.
chaos here, but
Yeah, yeah, I get that. It's shifting the different
yes,
responsibilities now, and
yes,
hopefully a little bit easier. I feel like we're in the golden time of like it's getting colder, but it's not like the heat of the summer, and it's not quite
right.
like the dead of
Like we can
winter.
still do stuff outside. We're
Mhm.
not trapped inside yet, but it's a good balance for sure right now.
Yes, I know the mud's not fun. I know we get a lot of mud now with all the
It is
rain and the
not
dead
mud
grass.
season yet.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst.
Oh,
What
nobody
makes
tells
me
you about that.
No, I know. Gosh,
The
our
mud and the
land
flies,
owns
nobody
it.
tells you about either of those.
Nobody likes to talk about it, but it's so refreshing. The
I'm looking
flies
at like
are
4
awful.
different fly traps in my house filled with flies.
Yes.
I'm like, welcome to the house. Here's my Christmas tree. There's my fly trap.
Exactly. I know. I always have to like check in the back of pictures, like, are my hanging fly traps still there?
But really.
Exactly. And where we live by an area that's really known for their melons. I don't know, Rocky Hawk melons.
Mm,
It's a thing, something about the soil, allegedly.
makes
Anyway,
sense.
in our area, Rocky Hawk melons are like the thing. So there's tons of, like cantaloupe and
Oh,
watermelon and all that stuff. But you know what happens when all that
mm.
rots in the
Oh,
fields?
yes.
The fruit flies are
Heyday.
it's like clouds of them, and it's
Oh my gosh.
awful. We had no idea about that when we moved
Oh my,
here.
I can't even imagine. I have like a bowl of bananas that need to be made into something on the counter.
Yeah.
And if you touch it, the amount of fruit flies that come out of it is like, you don't want to cook with
No,
it.
no. Oh my gosh. Not always picture perfect, but it comes with the territory.
So, okay, so now that people kind of know a little bit about my background,
Mhm.
how did you and Nate get started?
Well, I went to East Carolina, which is where we met, and I'm originally from just like the suburbs, like Virginia Beach
Yes,
area, just like normal suburbs, and we
normal kid
never,
life.
yeah. And we had my mom and I had like tomato plants and we gardened, so to speak.
Right, right.
But when I would drive from my home to East Carolina, I just loved the
Mm,
country and just being out there and seeing these properties with the
beautiful
huge,
drive.
just, yeah, just like the long driveways,
Yes.
the animals. And I just really fell in love with that idea and really romanticized
Mm,
it.
hmm.
And I started in college listening from the drive, listening to podcasts. And my favorite one was Chicken Thistle Farm. Oh my gosh, I still am obsessed with them. They ended like 10 years ago,
Oh
but
my
it was
gosh.
this couple and they were homesteaders and they raised pork and sold it and had a garden. And I just loved listening to them and I learned so much. And then when I met Nate, he hunts and likes to provide fish and
Yep.
he really, really loves to provide meat in that
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
And we both really like the idea of being out in the country and starting to raise our own food, and started with a little garden at where we lived with his brother when we were figuring out, like, from our separate places. We lived with his
Right.
brother and then we bought our home, and we were young, just like I'm sure you and Jacob were. We were young. I think we bought our house when I was like 24,
Oh
and I
my
had
gosh.
no
Yeah.
idea. I
Yeah.
mean, I looking back, it's so funny. I still feel like I don't know anything about buying a home.
Right.
And we bought our house. We live in very rural eastern North Carolina, and we're about an hour from Nate's job
Everything.
and everything. And I had a lot of up and down feelings about our property. We're on
Hmm.
about 7 acres. 3 of it is cleared, and 4 of it, or does that add up? Anyway, almost half of it is cleared. Almost half of it is wooded, a little bit more wooded.
Hmm.
And Nate dove right in with the animals. We
These
did not.
men.
I know. Yeah, he's a lot like Jacob. We had talked about it a little bit,
Oh,
uh, but we started with sheep. I'm trying to remember how many sheep we had. I want to say we had 4, 1 ram, and 3 ewes.
I think that's what we started with too.
I want to say that's what it was. And gosh, now I'm. It's
And
hard
then
thinking
sheep
back.
math.
Yes, sheep mouth. Oh my gosh. I think did we have the cow? I think he got a cow with them. I could be wrong. But we started with sheep and one bottle baby calf.
Yes.
Whether they were together or whether they were a couple months apart, I do not remember.
Very
But
close.
yeah, and sheep, we found them pretty easy to start with. It actually ended up being a
Same.
lot easier than we had expected. And we started with just like electric fence, but like single strand. So we had like
Mm-hmm.
three single strands, and one of them I think was electrified. And we did that for a couple months, and then the sheep would get pregnant, and we would get more sheep, and so that kind of snowballed on itself. And now there's a lot that happened in between. It's not the exact same. We got
Right.
some and sold some, but right now we have about 15 sheep. We, just like you, we kind of go in and out with the cows.
Yeah.
Until now, we always had at least one growing. Usually
I
we
was
would
going to
have
say, I
no.
love how you do it. So
Hmm.
you would buy a new baby cow
Hmm.
yearly. So then,
Hmm.
because it takes, almost
Like
2 years or
two. Hmm.
whatever. So like every year you were being able to process a cow and then you would have another one ready to go.
Yep.
And I've been trying to get Jacob on board with this forever. And he wants to do it all
Hmm.
ourselves. He wants to be able to have the bull and the cows, but we're also kind of terrified of bulls that we don't want to do that. So we haven't quite gotten into our rhythm of that yet. But anyways, continue. I love how y'all did that.
Yeah, and we it's a lot of balancing, because ideally he wanted to breed cows too, so it's like a
Right.
real self-sufficient,
Right.
but there's a lot that I think our husbands don't account for, of like the value of the stress that comes with it. Like,
Mm,
in a perfect world, it would be great to be completely self-sufficient, and
yes.
I'm sure it would be way more cost effective, but it can be hard. And I love the beef, obviously. I love the idea
Yes.
of raising cows, but I think out of everything that we do, the cows stress me out the most, because they get so big, and I mean,
And they
ours
eat a
can get
lot.
out. They eat a lot. They can get out.
When they're out, it's dangerous.
Really, I
And
hate getting them back in. The sheep are not a problem, to knock on wood, watch them
sheep
get
are
out right
nothing.
now.
Sheep are
But
honestly like a great starter animal,
they
like
really are. I tell
above
everybody,
chickens. Like
yes, we've had less
they are
issues with
so
sheep.
low maintenance. You put
Yes.
them in a fence and they're fine. That's
Yeah,
it.
they're
That's all
like,
you
"We
do.
live here
They
now."
get pregnant on their own. They have babies
Yeah,
on their own. They do all the things. They're
exactly.
totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So right now we don't have any cows, because Nate, my husband, we've had a lot of job shifting in the
Mm,
past year and a half. I've changed jobs, he's changed jobs. So he's not around quite as much.
right.
Especially now, I'm going to backtrack. During COVID time is when we really ramped it up, because both of us were
Yeah.
home. I had a baby. My daughter was born like right in the midst of COVID in 2020. So between maternity leave and working from home, we were home like for a whole year. And
And
I,
y'all went crazy.
we ramped it up. During COVID, as right before the first lockdown, is when we got our first chickens. We waited a while. We'd been in the house for two
Y'all were
years.
against chickens. We were
Yeah,
like, you need chickens. You have to
yeah,
have chickens. You live on a farm. You have a homestead. You raise your food. You need
exactly.
chickens.
We need
And
chickens, and
y'all were like, no, no. And then next thing we know, you're raising like 7,000 chickens a
I
year.
Oh my gosh, I know. So we started just like you, with six from track. We got them from Tractor Supply. I had
Yep.
my little box, and of course, with the straight run, out of the six, only two were hens, because that's what Tractor Supply does. I know. I feel like they do it on purpose.
They do.
So then, because we only had two hens, then we had to get more. So that ramped up, and we ended up within a couple months, we went from six chickens to, I think we had like 19 laying hens. I was really passionate about rainbow layers and different color
Yeah,
eggs.
I still love that.
I,
Yep. I'm all
yeah,
about it.
that'll be we'll have to have a whole podcast on my
Yeah, we
chicken
could talk
thing.
chickens forever.
We could talk chickens forever, because we just had a big chicken change, and so now I don't have
Yeah,
any
so
color
do we.
layers, and that's an issue for me mentally. But anyway, so we had like 19 layers, and then we got into the meat chickens, and we went hard and fast with
Go
that.
big
Let
or
me
go
tell
home.
you, go big or go home. We were out there with the chicken tractors, and in
I
that
mean,
year we had it,
new
hundreds
chickens every few weeks.
new chickens every a load a load. It felt like a load.
A load of
An order of 80 meat birds every 4 weeks for all summer for
So
like
for
six
people that
months.
don't know that kind of like what that means, like Jacob and I raise 100 meat birds a year. My neighbor comes and helps. We give them 30 for helping. So we end up with, and some die just by
Yes, they
life.
do.
So
Yeah.
we end up with like 60 meat birds for us for the year.
Hmm. Yeah, and we had like hundreds because
But you were
we
selling them. You
we
were
were
doing good.
we were on the right on the cusp of having like doing our LLC and
Yeah.
getting the certifications and doing it because we had a lot of friends and family, especially during COVID, who they were like, we would love
Wanting and needing.
begging. Yeah, we couldn't keep enough in stock for people because the grocery stores were all sold out. People got really into where their food comes from
Hmm.
and doing that. So we provided, and we had the cows. We got pigs. We raised rocks, and then the recession hit, and we went back to work. So
Yep.
we went from like 100 kind of back down, and right now we're getting our footing back. We didn't do any meat birds this year, but we will be having them back next year.
Yep.
So I guess I diverged from the dream to the reality, but that's part we're kind of reconfiguring our dream
Hmm.
now and finding what is working, what's going to work for us long term.
Right. Yes.
And our dream had been to have like our own little business, our own. I mean,
Hmm.
we were very very close to starting like our own butcher like business. I mean, we talked to
Right.
consultants, we were looking into properties, like a processing
Wow.
plant. Like we were so
Serious.
close. We were very very serious, and then just it didn't work out because of different reasons.
Yeah.
So our dreams are changing, but it's always been really to provide the food for our family, know
At
where it
least
comes
for the
from.
family. We
Yeah.
kind of went on a similar path, like from the dream, this big dream. It started as like homestead, just food for the family. And then
Hmm.
we did we got our LLC. We
Hmm.
started buying more chickens and we started selling eggs like crazy and then
Hmm.
getting more cows to butcher and sell the meat and do all the things. And it got to be so much. And Jacob, my husband, travels, and so like a lot of that lands on me. And then just financially, the hay was, you said like the recession and everything, the prices were crazy. We spent so much money on hay and it just we went from thinking like homestead, then we were thinking huge farm where we can
Yeah.
provide meat for all of Charlotte and
Yeah.
be this huge place and where people know where their meat comes from and it would be great. And I still love that dream. But then we kind of got back to reality and we're
Mhm.
like, okay, well, let's just focus selfishly on us, and like we had alpacas and they didn't serve us a purpose, like sell the alpacas. We don't need them. They didn't eat
Yeah.
that much. They didn't cause problems, but like, don't need them. Like they're eating our grass, sell them.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to focus more on like the homestead of us and providing for the family and being more like financially responsible with it and
Mhm.
not getting carried away. And when the time is right, if it's right, and if that's what the dream is, then we'll do that. But like right now, like you said, we're just kind of like scaling back and focusing on us. And like we do still sell eggs and like we have a milk cow. So there's the raw milk that we
Mhm.
sell for pet consumption only
Mhm.
and like the butter and that kind of stuff. But like, I mean, that's pays for like some feed bags, which offsets some cost. But
Yeah.
it's definitely we're scaled back to something that I can manage now with 3 kids by myself and a
Mhm.
farm, and something that we can actually start saving money again to do a dream later.
Yeah, exactly. And so when it's new, there's so much fun in it. And I think we both were breeding chickens for a while. Like we were both
Yeah.
selling chicks, and that
Hmm.
was so much fun. I loved doing
We
that.
do. Well, I'll probably do it again. I'm trying to get out of it. Jacob's like, no, let's do it. I'm like, I'm the one that does it. But yes, the chicks are like by the time summer is over, I am so done with chickens. I don't
Mhm.
even want to look at a chicken.
Oh
But
yeah.
by the time spring comes, like March comes around, I'm like, where's the chicks? Give me
I
all the chicks.
I know I've been looking on so many of like the chicken websites, planning our flock, but oh my gosh, yeah, and it's hard with the breeding of keeping them. Like it's a lot of it's makes the chores very time consuming when you
Does.
have like, your
Everything's
barred
separate.
rock area and then,
Right.
your
Yeah.
Americana
You can't just
area.
like throw a bucket of food out and call it a
Yeah.
day.
Exactly.
Yes.
I know, I really love that. What has been your favorite part?
I think, favorite, I don't know, most rewarding is dinner. When dinner comes and the meat is from our farm, there's a side of a vegetable from the farm, like cooked in the butter. I'm like, we did like most of that, like the
Yeah.
feeling is just so fulfilling. And I know like that we're eating the best version of that possible, and it just tastes so much better.
Mhm.
But I think the funnest part is seeing the stuff that I don't think is fun that's fun through the kids' eyes.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
little things like filling up a water bucket. Like who
Yeah.
knew a hose could be so much fun? I'm like out there dreading
Aw.
it's freezing and they're like water.
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff like keeps me like perked up.
Yeah. Yeah,
What about
definitely.
you? What's like the highlight? What do you love?
It's kind of weird, but I really love the community. It
Mm,
sounds like BS, but
that's no,
the
it's
like even on Instagram,
yes.
the online friends that I've met, people it's just so nice feeling to be part of a community.
It's so pure. Like
Yeah.
it's so real. Like I have
Mhm.
made some like not only
Actual
did it bring me
friends.
to you, but I have
Yeah.
also made like some like virtual friends, like
Yes.
and we like keep in touch and
Mhm.
they like support me from afar and I support them from afar. And when we didn't grow up this way, so like
Yeah.
our families don't, not that they're not on board, but they don't like it's hard for them to relate to this
Mhm.
type of lifestyle. So
Yeah.
to have people that like can actually relate to you and understand how it is to have a farm and kids and work and do like everything is so cool to have like some genuine people on board with you. I agree. The
Exactly.
community is like awesome.
Yeah, my family still doesn't understand. And
Yeah, neither does ours.
that's why I had kept it, very private in the
Right.
beginning because whenever we would tell people, they would be like appalled, like
Hmm.
they just could not understand. And I think it's
Yeah.
so important to think about it, to think your food in the grocery store
You
comes
don't
from an
know.
if you eat meat, you eat meat. And just because we raise ours in what we truly feel like is our most ethical way, I feel like
Hmm.
the way that we raise it, not everyone would agree, and fair enough. But don't tell me that me eating the sheep that we raised
They've a
healthfully,
great,
they
yes.
have amazing, in my opinion, our
Hmm.
sheep do their sheep thing. They have fresh grass. We feed them. We make sure they're healthy. We make sure they're safe.
Hmm.
That is, in my opinion, a lot better than just buying blindly at the grocery store.
Exactly.
And a
I
lot of
agree.
people in our real life don't
A
agree
lot of
with
people in our
that.
real life won't even eat our meat.
No, I know. Gosh,
I'm
yeah.
like, but you'll eat the chicken at the store? Do you want to see where that was raised?
Yeah, when we were raising chickens, my family told us not to bring our own because
Yeah.
because we obviously offer
Yes.
to
Same for
our
Thanksgiving.
for Thanksgiving, we will bring our turkey. And they're like,
Bring
no,
the turkey.
no, how can you
No,
do
we
that?
will
You
buy
raised that
that.
from a chicken. Yeah,
We
yeah,
will buy that from the store,
we
from
will
that
buy that from
gross
Butterball,
processing plant. Yeah.
where no turkeys were harmed.
Where they never saw the sunlight.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
But yes,
yeah.
so I completely agree. The community was something that I didn't expect either.
Uh-huh.
Like I started the Instagram account just like to remember and to for my own personal, and it still is like I don't care what people say or think or like or don't like of my pictures, like
Right.
it's like a photo book of my life. And that was that was a pleasant surprise to have so many people on board and supportive of it. It's been really, really cool.
And I love the um I don't know how to put it into words, but right now I'm working on redecorating my downstairs. I swear it's on track. It sounds like it's not, but it is. And I was looking back at my old Instagram photos, and there are so many beautiful photos that I've taken like of our property. And I ended up printing them off and I'm framing them for our living room. Some
What
of
a good idea.
Yeah,
That's
and
so cool.
I just love looking at that. And I know this probably won't be our forever home. And I hope that my kids remember the beauty in that. When I
Hmm.
see our junky old porch and all the mud
Yes.
everywhere, that it really is beautiful. And we are so blessed have
Live this life.
to live this life and seeing it through, even though Instagram isn't always real, parts of it are. Like our property can be beautiful. It can
Hmm.
look like it does on Instagram. I don't show everything on Instagram, but that is still part of it.
Exactly.
So I motivate
And it's
myself
really
again with
cool.
it.
Like I know y'all got Premier Fence and you've been moving around and you've done
Mhm.
so much changes and the pigs are in the woods and like so many things have changed since y'all have been there. And same with us. Like we've put fencing up and taken fencing down and done re-put fencing up
Yeah.
and done, done all the things. And so I was like you said, I was looking back at pictures and it's crazy to see what it used to look like, to see what it looks like now. And I always feel like there's like this never ending to-do list because there is.
Mhm. Yes.
But that it's also helpful to look back and be like, wow, our 5-year plan is actually kind of like on track. Like we are doing all of these things. Like time goes quick and we don't really realize like that we are doing it, but like we've come a long way. And it's cool to look back. Like thank goodness for technology. We can look back and see everything we've done, and I can watch old videos of the kids like with the
Yeah.
alpacas that we and like all the fun stuff. And it's really cool to look back. I was just doing that the other day.
I know I have this one video. It might not even, I don't think it's on my farm Instagram. It might be on my personal Instagram. But I have this video of Troy when he was like he must have been less than 1 year old, but he was walking and he's holding our spool of like wire that we would electrify because we were
Yeah.
putting up all the fencing and he's standing there like in this little bear suit and
Oh,
it's just, oh my gosh, it's so
I
funny
see
to
they're
see
living the
that.
life. Like
Yeah.
and in my opinion, I feel like we are doing the best thing for our children. Not that if you don't live this life, you're not doing the best thing for your children. I think for the way Jacob and I want to live, we're doing the best thing for our kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Oh,
now we've
that's
started
amazing.
homeschooling.
I know. I don't know. Oh my gosh, we haven't even talked about that. Molly
Oh,
homeschools. I don't. My husband and I both have a job, and our
mhm.
kids go to. My son is in elementary school, and my daughter's in preschool. But Molly does it all.
Which we keep getting so many, like, our parents and friends and everybody's asking, like, where Ford's going to go to kindergarten because he just turned 5. So he would go to kindergarten starting next year. And I'm like, well, you're looking at the principal. I
Oh
think
my
I'm going to do it. Like,
gosh, yeah.
I don't know. The public schools around here are not awesome.
Yeah.
And obviously private school for 3 kids is ridiculous.
Hmm.
So there is a charter school close by that's lottery. So I think we're gonna apply and see if he gets in and then kind of like weigh our options. But just take it year by year. I have
Yeah.
been doing preschool at home, which I can do. And my parents joke with me because school was always hard for me. I like testing specifically was really hard for me. Like I would know the material, but testing was hard. And I'm like, guys, I'm not teaching college chemistry. Okay. I can teach
Right.
a triangle.
Flash forward 12 years when you're preparing for college. Will be.
We could hire a tutor.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I guess that is a downside. I mean, rural schools usually are not very well funded,
Top
and
notch.
sometimes it can be hard to
Mm.
find, you know, I don't want to
Good
talk poorly.
quality schools.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So my
Yeah.
kids do go to a private school, but I also teach at that private school, which makes it a lot
Helps.
easier. Doesn't make it fully easy, but it helps, and I'm lucky that I get to be with them more than most
Yeah.
working
And the
parents, and
schedule. Yeah.
it helps, with tuition a little bit. But
Yes.
do
I mean, it's definitely I love it and it's hard.
Yep,
But right
definitely.
now, we're like, I feel like it's at an easy stage, it's just like 20 minutes a day we spend at the table and school and do
Mhm.
like paperwork or whatever it is, or a craft or whatever I decide to do that day. And it's just like every other mom when you're playing with your kids, you like try to teach them. So it's nothing like crazy that I'm doing yet. But maybe down the road when we're just going to take it year by year. But like,
Yeah.
I would love to homeschool as long as possible.
Mhm.
And if the kids want to do it, I want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like their personalities. Like our oldest, he would stay home. He would never go anywhere. He would
Mhm.
never, if he didn't have to, he would never leave the house. Our second one's a social butterfly, and I think he would thrive at school. So it might be different when it comes to him, but we're just going to take it like kid by kid and step by step and
Yeah.
see. But yes, my homeschool. Felt's Farm Preschool.
Oh, so cool. I know. I need to, even though my kids obviously are in school, I would love to be more intentional about, I don't know, just teaching here too. I mean, they do chores with us and
Yeah.
we do all the things, but I think there's a lot of opportunities specifically on farms and homesteads to teach real life things, and that's
Yes.
one of my goals personally, to be a little bit more intentional about what
One
I
of my
teach
struggles
here.
is like, every day we get up. I don't rush to go out and do the chores. I'm not one of those like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
chore people. I drink my coffee, the kids watch a TV show, like slow
Yeah.
mornings around here. But when we get out there, it takes me about an hour to do everything.
Mhm.
And most of the time, I have to I struggle because I'm like, I want to get it done. I just want to be done. I want to get home. I just want to move on with the day. Like, I just want to be done. But then I'm like, okay, let's slow down. I want to enjoy the time with the kids. I want to teach them. I want them to help milk the cow. I don't want me to just rush through it. And sometimes I do just rush through it. And then sometimes I have more patience and it is more of like a helpful learning experience. And then
Yeah.
sometimes all the kids are crying. And then sometimes everybody's happy. And then sometimes they want to play, it's like, so it is a struggle to like balance, let's get shit done and let's have fun, kids.
Exactly. I mean, but honestly, that's how school is too.
Yeah.
Sometimes when
Yeah.
I'm teaching, I feel like nothing gets done anyway either.
That's funny.
Oh, good. Well, I know we're at almost 40 minutes. Is there anything that we didn't talk about related to
Oh, I'm sure we'll
dreams
look back
or?
and think that we should say some things. I don't know. I feel like we covered it though. Like me and you met back in college forever ago. We rekindled. We started the homestead life kind of at the same time
Yeah.
together-ish. And um, you've been a big part in our journey. And I mean, one huge thing, y'all came years ago to come help us butcher our first devil cows that were
I
awful.
know.
And
Oh,
like we've
yeah.
come so far. And I just feel
Yeah.
like it's so cool to see how we both started. And here we are. Like we're doing the damn thing.
We are. I know. It's crazy. We need to go back. I know we always say that. Everyone always says that, but we need to have another trip together and y'all need to
Me
come down
too.
here and because I mean it is a journey, and what is it without friends? Sorry, something
Community.
popped up on my computer. I hope that didn't
That's
stop
okay.
my feed, but wouldn't be the first time. So yeah, but
Well,
now we have a podcast together and I'm
and
so
now we have a
excited.
podcast and we're going to do it. We're going to keep
Yes.
it up and we're going to keep talking. And there's so much to
Mhm.
talk about. We got
There
to
really
talk
is.
garden. We got to talk chickens. We got to talk about our husbands. We got to talk about kids. We got things to
Yeah.
talk about.
I know, and I want to hear about the cheese. I want to hear about the
Yes.
dairy cow. I would
Oh,
love a
so
dairy
much to talk
cow.
about. We've got so many episodes coming.
Yeah, we have a lot coming. So stay on the lookout. We are just going to grow from here. I am hopefully we'll have this on YouTube. Hopefully we'll get
Mhm.
our own little podcast Instagram. But Molly
Yeah.
now will have to talk about that and get it all figured out.
We will. We'll get it all going. This has been so fun.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully we will have any information to connect with us in the descriptions down below. And Molly's handles are at Felt's Farm, right?
Mhm.
At
At
Felt's
the
Farm.
Felt's Farm.
The Felt's Farm.
Yep.
And mine is at With My Hands Homestead. Sometimes WMH Homestead, but usually I know sometimes
It's
I
going
shorten
with
it,
you.
but I'll put them in the description.
Awesome.
And we will talk to you later.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.